Welcome back to Nortman Reviews, everyone. I should be John Norton, but this is Rusty the Bear. I call him Rusty the Bear. He's Rusty the kitty cat. Look at this kitty cat face. Rusty, look at it. He's been the pain in the butt as I've been trying to set up for this. So we'll say hello, and then I'm going to kick you off, and we're going to get into some Uncanny X-Men issues. Oh, look at this little paw. Look at the little pawsies. Look at the little paws. Okay. All right. So, what are we going to be looking at? We're going to be looking at X-Men, Uncanny X-Men issues 349 and 350. I've been going through a bunch of these issues, mostly because of Joe Madureira's work. I had like a collection of his Uncanny X-Men stuff, but that didn't have nearly as much in it as it should. So I went and looked through that, and then we were just building towards the end of his run that ends with number 350. So we're going to look at that. That's the focus of the video for sure, but we're going to take a quick look at issue number 349 that he did not draw, but for the sake of the storyline purposes, we're going to look at it. So say goodbye to Rusty the Cat, everyone, because I'm going to yeet him right off the table. Yeet! All right. So, now that I got him out of the way, I'm going to adjust this camera a little bit. Alright, that's good enough. Maybe. Okay. So, we'll look at that in a second. Uncanny X-Men number 349. Call him Maggot! I mean, you could definitely use a really horrible word for, you know, an insult for him, but we're not going to because we're not assholes. Speaking of, where's my pointer? Hold on. There it is. Anyways, we got Maggot, who was introduced a few issues ago, and we looked at, and it was like, is he the X-Men's greatest villain or the next X-Man? And he was just nothing of a character. He wasn't member of the X-Men after this, going forward for a little bit, but I don't remember anything that he did or anything that was memorable about him, and he just kind of disappeared, and I think we're all the better for it, because he wasn't that interesting. I mean, what's up with the skin tone? I mean, he's a mutant, so they have different, whatever, they look different, but I just, whatever. He has these two slug things, Eenie and Meanie, I think he calls them. But it's drawn by Chris Baccello, I don't know how to pronounce his name. But I first learned of his art through Generation X, and I learned to slowly appreciate it, but we're just going to flip through this mostly for the story. We'll point out some stuff about his art that I like. So it's going through some past memories of Magneto, but you don't know who's talking. You assume it's going to be Joseph or something, because they're talking about conversations he's never heard, and recent past. This is a recreation of a scene from that Joe Mad had drawn, with Christmas issue. I did a video on that, so go watch that if you want. But it's Maggot here somehow. And what is he looking? Is he looking through something? He's I don't know what's going on here. It doesn't explain. Like, I thought his powers were to you know, he doesn't even have powers. He just has these two slugs that come out of nowhere. So it's not powers. It's more just a mutation. But he can see these memories of Magneto / Joseph, I guess. These are some of Magneto's memories. Quick thing to point out. I mean, Chris Baccello is a good artist. This is all good, good perspectives and details on the building. But the city back here, I just kind of find it interesting that, I mean, that's obviously like a photo that they then digitally manipulated in some way. He didn't draw that. I would be very surprised if anybody did. Maybe the same with that Earth. I only mention that, and it's not a critique. I don't give a fuck. But I did a comic, one of my issues, issue number 5 of my comic Bliss. I did basically the same thing with a photo of the city, and had my friend kind of digitally mess with it, because I didn't want to have to draw such an intricate city. I just find it interesting that they do it in a major Marvel, title, Uncanny X-Men, when it was pretty popular at the time. making money. Marvel's huge as it has been since. Like, they couldn't take the time to draw something like that. They get paid for it, but maybe they were in a deadline. So, I have no idea who or what this is right here. Chris Pacello, and maybe when we look at other comics he's done, he does these weird things where it starts with like this title and some credits, and it just has a picture here that has nothing to do with anything. Like, most of the time it's a character from the book. But who is this? I cannot tell at all. But, so the X-Men are captured in the last issues. They went into space, a group of them. They came back down, they crash landed, and then they were captured by this robotic nanny, which I'm sure they'll show. I forget who or what nanny is. But apparently they're somewhere in Antarctica, and there's a base that was constructed by Magneto, I guess. And they're there somehow. Yeah. So, but all the X-Men's powers have been inhibited. Yeah, taken away. So, obviously it doesn't affect the human. So, Trish Tilby, she gets pulled away, and it's this dude, and that's actually the Beast. Hank McCoy, which is funny because in the last issue I talked about what happens to Beast when he loses his powers. That was a question my sisters would ask me when the X-Men animated series was going on. I never could quite understand, besides like, he's hairy and he's big and he's strong, but when he loses his powers, what does that mean? Because in the cartoon, he didn't change, nothing changed. Here, he obviously went back, he lost all his hair, whether it grew back inside him or did he shed it? Questions for another time, I guess. So they're in this fortress, and there's these two bounty hunters. Grovel, this big fucking toad monster thing, and this little girl Spat, who's actually a woman, but she's getting younger physically for some reason because of Gambit. They don't like him, so they were here to bring him in, but they all got captured by Nanny. And so Gambit doesn't have his powers. Rogue doesn't have her powers. That's not Rogue. That's a video game. Final Fantasy 7. Rogue doesn't have her powers either. And at the end of the last issue, they're basically talking like, "Hey, we have an opportunity," and I think they just banged one out, which was probably the first time, the first opportunity that they've had to do that ever, even in such dire circumstances. Might as well. But Gambit is still wallowing in self-pity because he has a secret. He has a big secret. And that's the whole, thing that the whole plot that these issues are going to culminate to. It actually says it right here. Gambit's greatest secret revealed, So he doesn't want to know. Since their powers have been negated for some reason, comic book logic, all of Rogue's old memories of she's absorbed are kind of poking out. And she kissed Gambit at one point, right before Age of Apocalypse, because they thought the world was going to end, and she got a bunch of his memories. But for some reason, the memories were too much for her. She kind of went on a road trip with Iceman. Gambit was worried she was gonna she remembered, but she didn't for some reason, and they had a confrontation. I did a video on that in X-Men number 30, I think. Go watch the video. But she's all, she loves him, so she's trying to comfort him, but he's still like, "Oh, don't touch me, Rogue. You don't know me. If you knew what I know, then you wouldn't want to know what I know," kind of a thing. They're still in these weird space suit things. There's this girl, Spat, because someone didn't spat her out. I don't know. There's a joke there somewhere. So, back with Maggot. He's in New York, and he's roaming around, and for some reason, out of the shadows comes someone kicking at him. Doesn't like the vibe of him, I guess, and it's Psylocke. She can read his mind, and she kind of talks about something later, like she was drawn to him, attracted to him, not in a physical, loving way, but just hey, there's something about this guy. So she starts a rumble with him. Chris Pacello, he definitely has a style. You either like it or you don't. He has some like exaggerated features. Her head's a little bit bigger. The waist is tiny. Legs are incredibly long and skinny. Big hand. Kind of a Madureira vibe, but not. It's his own style. I like his art. I mean, these are some like good shadows, good poses that he has to draw. It's not easy to draw these kind of things, but he does it well. Like, look at that foot. It seems huge, right? So Psylocke starts fighting him, and here come the Eenie and Meanie, or Meanie and Miney, and Miney and Mo. I don't know. These slugs come out of nowhere, and she's like, what the fuck? Where'd they come from? How come I didn't sense them? And Angel, he lost his metallic wings somehow. I forget how they were damaged, and then it kind of like they broke out somehow. Maybe I skipped that issue. Anyways, what's going on with this moon back here? It's like the lights, it looks like it's coming in. It's in front of this building. Oh well. Anyways, he's flying around. He's in his old angel outfit. And people are yelling. Mutants are fighting. And then, meanwhile, goes back to Gambit. He's talking with this big fucking toad. And they're like, I don't like you. And he's like, yeah, I know. But who cares? I don't think these characters ever came back and did anything ever. And then Rogue, she's talking with this. She's not a girl. I mean, she looks like a girl, but she's a woman, you know. She has the mind of a woman, but her body is de-aging. So she's pissed about that. And it's Gambit's fault somehow. But Rogue is getting the memories, and she's talking about what she's remembering. And it's hard for her to figure out, but she's like, there's shadows, 8 people towering over each other, and Gambit's arguing with them. She doesn't really know what's going on. And then Joseph / Magneto. Everyone thinks he's a de-aged Magneto. How and why that happened, no one knows. He doesn't have Magneto's memories, and he's trying to be good. But, I mean, spoiler alert, he's not Magneto. He's like a weird clone in some way or form. I'm not sure. I think there's a thing called the Magneto War. To be honest, I have really no idea, because after these issues, I still got it. I collected X-Men for such a long time, but the storylines got so convoluted, I don't know what the fuck was going on. I don't remember anything. But I love he comes busting in here. Again, none of them have their powers. He wants to get the fuck out of here. He's like, there's no time for whatever drama in which you've entangled yourselves. Like, ain't that the trick, Joseph? Jesus. So, Gambit, like, he actually picked the locks he was in. He's like, oh, you already popped the chains? You could have left at any time? He's like, yeah, but we didn't have a plan. So, I mean, this is kind of funny. I think just this word balloon, like the tail here, is pointing at this girl, Spat. Such a weird name. And it says, leave these bounty hunters here, Gambit. We have no time to waste. But I think it's supposed to be like Joseph who's saying that, not Spat. So that's just a little weird thing. I'm like, wait, who's saying this now? But he's like, no, I'm not going to leave them with Nanny in the Antarctic. So goes back to New York, and these two things are eating something. I don't know what they're eating. That's what they do. Like, they just eat and munch away. So they're fighting. He takes the opportunity. Maggot punches her away, and he says, the best you can manage, X-Man. Not even. And she punches him in the fucking balls. Looks like it. No, she hits him in the stomach, I guess, with the focused totality of her telepathic power. Essentially, it cleaves through an individual's mental defenses, temporarily disabling the brain's higher functions and bonding her, if only for an instant, with her target. But usually she does that in their fucking head, which makes sense. Targets the head and the brain messes with the brain. When you punch him in the dick, it shouldn't really do anything. Make him, limp dick or infertile for a while, maybe. But since it says it bonds her with them, it kind of knocks her for a loop. She can't focus. And this fucking slug is going to jump on her. But it gets hit away by fucking Angel, comes out of nowhere. Like, what's going on here? Like there's a panel here, and I've talked about this in some of the World War Hulk videos I've done with my friend Cody, and my brother Rob has mentioned this too on his channel. These fucking word balloons or these sound effects are unnecessary most of the time, and then when they're put in front of the art, like they're just fucking stupid. Woom, kaplang, and what is going? I mean, I gather that he hit this fucking thing. It looks like he hit the thing and it went flying and landed in a recycling bin, I guess. But you have to kind of stop and look at it, like, what the fuck's going on? But Angel's there, and he hit it with an American flag, very patriotic. So he's like, what the fuck did you do? Like, with all the shit going on with the X-Men, did you have to find another threat? She's like, shut the fuck up, Angel. No one cares about you anymore with your dumb feather wings. It's like, that can't be good. I'm like, yeah, no kidding. So, the South Pole, they're walking through, trying to be sneaky, but they're not very good at it. Nanny finds them and wants to throw down, I guess. Outnumbered, overpowered. Yeah. So she like transforms into her final mode, I guess. Playtime is over. No one has their powers. Cool, like 4 panels. It's one big panel. And then something happens. That's the thing with Bocello's art. I've also noticed he has a cool style. This all looks cool and interesting if you're into his style. It's maybe not for everybody. He can do some cool shots like this, but then like when things are actually happening, I don't know. He does like these weird close-ups, and you're kind of scratching your head about what's going on. But she's being fucked up somehow, and her head pops off, I guess, here. And then all their powers come back. Must have been inside her, so that's good. But who was it that freed us from this construct's thrall, they say. And it's fucking Trish, and good job, human. She has a crowbar there, and she must have popped her head right off, and Beast was the brains, obviously. So they took out Nanny. Good job. And they were trying to figure out where did she come from, and they were thinking, like, was it Joseph who did it? Because this, he's seemingly supposed to be Magneto as far as they're concerned, and this was a base of Magneto, and Nanny was a thing with Magneto. I don't know. Someone tell me, please. But like who was responsible? That's kind of a big mystery, or a mystery. And there's like other questions need to be answered. And they're like, you need to tell us, Gambit. And he's like, fuck you, I won't. He doesn't say that. He wants to, but he can't. And I think that was a conversation he was having with Spat here earlier, where Spat, God, it's such a weird name. I feel stupid just saying it. She was telling him, I think back somewhere, that he feels like if he tells Rogue, he's going to lose her. But she's like, if you're not honest, you're going to lose her anyway. So what's the big fucking deal? So he decides to turn himself over. The guilt is getting to him, and he turns himself into these two who were hired by somebody that we don't know to bring him in. So he's like, okay, I can't tell you, but I can't keep hiding. I'm not going to run from my past and my shame. So I'm turning myself over to the truth. I hope someday you'll be able to forgive me, because I know I never will. That's the end of this, and they go walking out. That's kind of a nice little, not even a panel, little picture. So that's the end of it. Trial of Gambit. This is getting towards the end of Heroes Reborn. I think we're all the better for it. Heroes Return. Mark Waid, Ron Garney, Scott Liddell, Alan Davis. Probably better. Maybe not like big names to bring in readers like Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld, but probably better for it. Anyways, here's the comic. Here's the final issue that I was kind of like trying to get to. I was going to get into Age of Apocalypse, and then I finally found these issues, so I want to get these out of the way. So here it is. Joe Mad's final issue, number 350, issue spectacular. Gambit's greatest secret revealed, and some sins can never be forgiven. So is it such a big deal that his sins can never be forgiven? I guess we're going to find out. But before we do, see if I can back this shit up a little bit so you can see this whole picture here. This triple fold out cover, all cool and awesome. Cool shot of Gambit. Hopefully with the colors you can see it's kind of a hologram, but not these crazy colors going on in it. Oops. Don't rock the boat. But see those cool eyes, the cards and his power. Cool shit. Right? Is it worth, how much was this? $4? Shit, man, they ain't nothing. But I guess it was back in the day. Cool shot of the X-Men here. Oh, and then there's Maggot. Nice, sad shot of Rogue. And then the Marauders here. They're a big deal. It's a cool shot of Sabretooth. Joe Matt is a good artist, man. I don't care what anyone says, and no one says he's bad. I mean, this is where he made a name for himself in X-Men. Then he did Battle Chasers, then he decided to fuck off and do video games, and that's great. But whatever. I mean, shiny stuff on Sabretooth's fur there. Nice. All right, trial and error. So I would be remiss if I didn't point out that, I mean, Joe Mad, like he was coming to the end of his run. I'm sure he was burnt out, but he had like a break from an issue. He didn't have to do this one. And I think he had some help on some of the other ones before this. So you think he would have had enough time to fucking finish, like do this whole issue. And it's not terribly big. It's more pages than a standard one. But he has an assist with Andy Smith, and Tim Townsend with Russell and Panosian on inks. But yeah, you got another penciler in here. Cool shot of Gambit. And this has anything to do with the story, this opening shot, because he's in his ridiculous, stupid costume that he was not in throughout the rest of the book. Still in his spacesuit. So, but just a cool shot of him. Cool piece of art to have on your wall. I guess the background, that had to be digitally done, right? Backgrounds be damned. Oh, trial and errors. How clever. So, this is a flashback of Gambit when he was a pup, as he would say. And I think this is Seattle. And this is where, if I'm not mistaken, where he had his confrontation with Rogue in that issue of X-Men drawn by Andy Kubert that I did the video for. Go watch it. And he pulls a card, and it's the Ace of Spades, and that's not a good card to pull when you're, he's like, the cards will tell me what my fate is. He pulls the Ace of Spades, and that's apparently the death card. Maybe for you it will be, and he throws it at somebody or someone in the fucking sky, and I don't know. But it's Mr. Sinister back here. It's hard to tell here, but you see that little red diamond on his forehead. And you knew Sinister and Gambit had a past, as was evidenced in that issue I keep talking about, so I can go look at. And it's like, you do great work. You've impressed, and I'm not easy to impress. He's like, I don't give a fuck, just pay me. And he's talking about here what's going on. He's like, his people disowned him. His wife, Belladonna, was killed or died. He must have thought she was dead. She came back, and then it was revealed that she wasn't dead because she showed up in that issue of X-Men number 8 by Jim Lee. And this was well before that in timeline-wise. But he says, I done racked up more enemies than the legendary Kingpin himself. anyway, he's doing these jobs because he's just feeling down and he doesn't feel good. You know, his wife is dead. His people disowned him, so he's just taking these like jobs. And that's how Sinister found him. So he gives him this thing, which I don't know if we ever find out what this payment is that he gets. And he says, so Gambit asks Sinister here, the people I gathered, Scalp Hunter and the others, these others, what makes them so important, worth so much to a man like you? You could have got them yourself. And he doesn't tell them. He's like, cool, I don't really care. He's like, this is the last time I'm doing a job for you. Don't call, don't write. I'm out, right? And he's like, yeah, you're out when you hear from me that you're out, and that'll only be after one more job. He's like, my new associate requires specific talent for insinuating yourself into places you don't belong. And he says, you can't afford me anymore. He's like, everyone has a price, and I know yours. So that's a memory, a flashback for Gambit here. And they're trudging along. Here's Grovel and Spat in the Antarctic, and they're going forward. Just, you know, they hate him. He's still sad over things and whatnot. More memories, really has nothing. He has this card that Rogue gave him right before they left. Queen of Hearts. Because she loves him and she wants him to say it, but he won't. She gives him the Queen of Hearts, and it's like, carry it and think of me in those times we weren't together, and there will be hope. But this girl, Spat, sees the card that he has and knocks it out of his hand, and it goes flying, falling to the ground. More video game, Final Fantasy VII. All right. So nearby, the X-Men are following. So many words, right? So many words. And they're talking about how Joseph, he can create a magnetic bubble to keep them warm or keep the cold out. And they're worried, like, hey, he's getting more and more strong with his powers. More and more stronger, more and more strong. Anyways, more powerful by the second. But as that happens, is his old personality, the evil Magneto, going to come out too? But Rogue doesn't care right now. She just wants to find Gambit. So nearby in Manhattan, there's Psylocke and Angel, and they're fighting with Maggot here. And Psylocke has these weird powers now from the Crimson Dawn. When she got gutted by Sabretooth, and then Wolverine and Angel went and got a mystical cure for her, and then she had these weird shadow powers. You know, I did a video on that, go watch. And she has these, she can like teleport through shadows now, I guess. So, for whatever reason, even Psylocke doesn't know, I feel compelled to discover what it is with him that attracts me so. He's like, what? So they go like teleporting in. Angel comes like, hey, don't leave me. So he goes zooping in, and the maggots, huh? And they go in as well. All right. So suddenly, I mean, Gambit was not in Final Fantasy VII, but he was here in the snow, and suddenly he's in the dark, and he doesn't know where he's at. And somebody starts talking to him out of the darkness. And he keeps saying it's Sinister. Yeah, I know your voice, Sinister. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, hold your tongue. So they zap him. He's like, you're going to be found guilty of your crime, but there's still other players yet to arrive. So here come the X-Men. Rogue's on top. She's trying to keep a brave face because she's really sad. She's really worried. She doesn't want to like seem weak inside as she's crying. She wants to look strong out here for the team because she's kind of taking a leadership role out of these ones. Joseph is getting weirdly sick for some reason as they get closer. And they stop. I don't know. They need to let the engines cool down. Joseph's still having a hard time, and he keels over and passes out or whatever. And he finds the Queen of Hearts card, and Rogue's like, he is here. Gambit knows we're following him. He has to be here somewhere. we're on the right trail. Then the skimmer blows up for some reason. And Joseph, he feels something with his powers, and he like makes this citadel come up out of the fucking ground. And they're like, Jesus Christ, how'd you do that? How'd you know it was there? What is it? How'd you raise it? And they're like, I don't fucking know. I don't know. What should we do? Well, X-Men, sugar, we charge right on into the unknown and save our own. Let's get going. Huzzah! I call that snow on top of Beast. So then it has this, like, just this quick little interlude of Professor Xavier. Because while all this shit is going on, Operation Zero Tolerance is going on heavy in all the other books, apparently. Especially the X-Men and in X-Factor, and I think even Wolverine. And I think Professor Xavier, he was taken away by the government at the end of Onslaught. I did a video on that. Go look at it. And, yeah, so then I think he was being held prisoner by Bastion and Operation Zero Tolerance. I think that's what's going on. And he's just having some crazy fucking memories and nightmares of, you know, the X-Men when they first were formed and the X-Men of the 70s and 80s, that team. That's like just a solid team right there. You know, you can make a cool book out of Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm, Colossus, and Nightcrawler. Maybe throw in Jean Grey instead of Banshee there. And then, like, the more recent one with X-Men Gold and Blue, but different carnations with Storm, and that fucking stupid haircut that I fucking hate. Anyways. So now we turn over to the other artist. What is his name? Andy Smith. And the door to the Citadel opens. They're like, why did that do it? Joseph, you do that? He's like, no. They see the statue of Justice. She's blind. Yeah, we get it. And then they all decide to go off, like, let's split up. Let's cover more ground. Yeah, that always works. Elsewhere within the Citadel comes Psylocke out of, you know, the teleportation. But Maggot's not with her. Even though she teleported with him, she appears without him. But she's at the Citadel now. She's looking at shit. Looking at these books that were written in Rust. I don't know why that's important at all. Angel, he comes falling down. And he sees this thing, this contraption. There's like a noose right there. That'll come up later, I'm sure. And let's see, there's Maggot. And he's like, cool, we got rid of the bitch. We ditched the bitch. We got rid of Psylocke. But then someone says something behind him. He's like, oh, shit, he's a friend. It's Joseph. And they shake hands. He's like, I'll always call you friend for what you did for me. We know nothing about Joseph and what his intentions are. And, I mean, it even says, like, with all the X-Men, like, what they are and what they're about. With Maggot, the exact nature of his connection has yet to be revealed. Like, no one knows anything about it. But he's just on a trail. He's looking for Joseph / Magneto. So he calls him Magneto. But he's like, I am no longer called that. I am Joseph. And then someone zaps him. And he's like, you are an abomination. And Maggot sees him. He's like, you? He's like, trust me though. Trust me through what will come next, Maggot. And he says, you've never lied to me, whoever he's talking to here. He's like, and I never will, I never shall cooperate, and you will be free. Okay. Plot thickens, I guess. So there's Beast and Trish, I mean, because they all separated. And then they're ambushed by these robot things, and they get captured. And then Psylocke, she's going through, and she sees these statues. It's hard to tell, but there's Thunderbird and there's Blink. And monuments to whom, she asks, and she's like, to those who deserve them, the fallen whom you will now join. She's like, you, it can't be. And they always say that. They do always say that. So Angel, boy, they take up a lot of space here for this one picture when like you could like have different art for service to the story. All the big action, such as it were, him getting zapped, him getting captured, happens in these 3 tiny pictures. Did you need to draw? Whatever. Bushido blade. So again, Rogue, now she's by herself and she finds Gambit. And she's like, cool, let's get the fuck out of here. And he's trying to tell her, leave me here, just go, leave me to my fate. And he's trying to kind of be mean to her. He says, I don't love you now or never, go. What happens here? Like, he wants her to not be, be involved in any of this. So he's trying to get her, like, piss her off to where she'll go. But she doesn't have any of it. She doesn't believe a word of it. He's trying to get him to get up. It's like, whatever's going on, we'll work through it together, far away from here. But he's like, that sounds great, but that can't be. I choose to be here. She loves him. I love you unconditionally. Love ain't always enough. So they're having just, tough times. Cool. I don't know. I like that picture of Gambit there. In the shadows and the muscles there. I mean, Madureira knows when he needs to put down backgrounds and when he doesn't. There's not a lot of backgrounds in any of these. But that's okay. So she says, I've never had anyone touch my heart or my vagina like you did the other night. Why can't I have that? Why can't I be happy? What says you have to do this, whatever this is, instead of spending your life with me? And off panel, this guy says, I do, and it's dun dun dun. Eric the Red. Gasp. Audible gasp. Audible confusion, it should say. Like, oh, that's the last person I would have expected. I know nothing about Eric the Red besides from the few episodes of X-Men in the Phoenix Saga that he showed up, and he was part of the Shi'ar. What is he doing here now? So he was the big bad, and he's the one who hired these 2 guys, Spat and Grovel. So, whatever. Big reveal, I guess. So, another little interlude with the rest of the X-Men having to deal with Operation Zero Tolerance. I guess Cyclops got hit and has a nanotech bomb in me. And Jean's trying to keep him together with her powers. And there's some people talking, Cannonball's doing fuck all. So this is more of the Andy Smith art. You think they would have given the big reveal to Joe Mad? Like, who chose what pages? Maybe they're like, here, Andy Smith, just do a few of these pages. You'll get to do whatever. So they're on trial. They're in some place, and he's talking to something he calls Ferris. I don't know what that is. So they're going to actually have a trial. He's the prosecutor. Here's the accused. There's Gambit. The jury is Beast, Maggot, Rogue, Psylocke, and Trish. And then they're like, Maggot? Who's that? And they're like, silence! And the defender, your fellow X-Man, Archangel. And when they captured Archangel back here, they kind of talk about like, oh, his presence was unexpected, but he's the perfect fit for a role that would have otherwise gone uncast. So they're like, great, he will be good for the defendant, the defense, the defense, because the defendant is, anyways. Since I'm shocked, I guess I got no choice. But who's going to judge this trial? It says we all judge each other in our own ways. Okay, that didn't answer my question. And so they talk about, let's see, behind me are effigies of the souls swept away in an unforgivable Holocaust. And here's where they say, Gambit, you stand accused of the crime of mass murder of the Morlocks. If you know your X-Men history, you kind of piecing, what is going on here. I did not know my X-Men history at this time, so I kind of learn all of this through what's going on in this issue. And then Archangel, he kind of takes a second to think, wait a minute, who are you? He said, Eric the Red isn't real. He's just a cover for someone else. So I guess other people disguise themselves in this outfit. And he says Cyclops was the first time. And then he starts giving him shit. Is this some kind of sick joke, Scott? Or did you finally snap and go nutso like Professor X did when he turned into Onslaught? You always did follow his lead. So, little crack at Cyclops is not even there. He's just busy with a techno-organic bomb in his belly. And let's see. And he's like, it doesn't matter what Gambit did. We all had our past. He's an X-Man first, and he's made a name for himself. He's done good. And then he starts yelling. Eric the Red here starts yelling. He's like, when does that ever matter, being an X-Man? What have you done for your own kind? Starts bitching about like how they only let in the pretty ones and let the Morlocks like live in the sewer and eat shit and all that. And Gambit's like, who's on trial here? Are you yelling at them or are you yelling at me, for crying out loud? He's like, good point. And so the X-Men are here. He's like, hey, you notice anyone missing? I'm like, yeah, it's Joseph. So they think that Joseph is like went insane and he's Eric the Red, but it's not. Here's Joseph. They bring him in, plop him down, and he keeps talking. And he says, this Joseph, in quotations, is sickening. He renounced who and what he truly is, and then embraces mortal foes, becoming one of them. So he's really pissed off. He does not like Joseph. You can tell by the way he talks. So he has already been judged and found so unworthy not to be allowed to waste the time of this esteemed court. But enough speculation. Will you confess to these crimes? Like, which one? And so Gambit starts telling them the story. He says, I worked for Sinister. We had a heart of ice back then. Like we talk about the stupid accents that they try to give these X-Men, especially with Gambit. He says, didn't care if I lived or died. Never love again, so I cast my fate with someone come my way. Whoever come my way. Turned out to be someone sinister. Dun, dun, dun. He had something I needed badly, so I agreed. So he rounded up all these people. There's Sabretooth's arm right there. And these guys are like, fuck, man, you worked for Sinister and you didn't tell us? He's like, yeah, like when, like how, for how long? And he's like, it wasn't like that. It wasn't something I was proud of, but I joined the X-Men. I put that behind me like you did, Rogue. You were a bad guy once. And Archangel here, he's like, yeah. He's like, I don't, like, this doesn't sound great for Gambit, but men can change what they are. They can escape the darkness they're old. I reclaim mine from Apocalypse. Joseph is trying to do the same thing in Gambit. And then he's like, fool, Gambit is directly responsible for the darkness that befell you. So they go on. You're quick to defend a man who so permanently scarred you, Archangel. And like, Gambit, what's he talking about? Nothing. Tell him who it was that you efficiently assembled that night, and how much evil you and you alone congregated in the name of greed. He said, it wasn't about that. I got nothing more to say. You tell him if you want. You tell him if you want. Tell us all and get it over with. And Psylocke, she pipes up. She's like, I know what it is, because I think Psylocke looked inside Gambit's mind when he was in a coma after the kiss with Rogue. So she got a little insight to his head, but she didn't know what it was either. She says, I know the names of those you assembled. Arclight, Scrambler, Scalp Hunter, Vertigo, Harpoon, Riptide, which are these guys. I don't know which is which. And Sabretooth. That's the only one I know. Evil beings with one intention, to become marauders of the underground and destroy any Morlocks they found there. All because the madman Sinister deemed their existence scientifically useless. These memories have been locked away in my mind for months since I mind-linked with Remy. It's like, yeah, and I could have killed her too, but I didn't because I'm such a good person. So he's pissed because I guess in that, and we looked at it. I don't have it here, but I showed it in the previous issues. It was an issue where it was a memory of Marrow when she saw him, and he was strung up in the Morlock tunnels, and I guess his wings got shredded, I think by Sabretooth, and damaged. And because of that was a catalyst for him becoming Archangel, which, and he became evil with Apocalypse, became a horseman. So he's pissed. You cost me my wings. You did that to me. Even though he has his wings, they grew back. And he stood by my side, called you friend. He's like, I should drop that blade on your neck myself, you traitor. So he's pissed. And he's mad at her for not saying, she didn't really know. It's only coming to her now. And he's like, you can defend yourself if you want, Gambit, because I'm not going to do it. So there is no defense. This is only the tip of the proverbial iceberg. So then they want to call a special witness. So then they bring Rogue up somehow. So he's controlling these contraptions on her arm. How? I mean, I know why. How? So he's making her come forward. He wants him to kiss him, steal all his secrets once and for all, and share them with the court. Like, don't do this, don't make me do this, but he makes her do this, and they kiss, and she sucks in his memories again. I really like this picture of Rogue. Like the sadness and anguish and fear in her eyes. It was really well done by Mad. So it goes into the memories. And it talks about, so he has the Marauders, and he shows them where to go. He's scared. He knows something bad's going to happen. He doesn't know what, but then he watches it start as they're just it's called the Morlock Massacre. Was it called something else? The storyline? Mutant Massacre, right? I'm not really familiar with that storyline, but this is what happened there. He tries to stop them, but Sabretooth kind of knocks him back. When Sabretooth and Gambit met up, not for the first time, but again in the issue, X-Men by Jim Lee, I want to say number 6, when Sabretooth showed up in his new costume, and he saw Gambit there when the X-Men were held prisoner, and Sabretooth's I think revealed his name, LeBeau. And he's like, oh, you're working on the side of the Angels this time. And even back then, X-Men number 6, they're up to number 65 now, I think. They had I don't know if they knew it was this, but there was a connection with Sabretooth and Gambit. And there was a couple other issues between them as well. Yeah, Gambit talked about how he knew it would be something illegal, but he didn't know it would be something so awful. And it sickened him, and he wished he had died there too at times. So he's like, I couldn't stop them, so I helped whoever I could to get out. So he picked up a little girl. I don't know who she was, but bones were sticking every which way out of her face. And that was all I could do. So that's Marrow, which is kind of just sad. He can't do anything. He picks up this girl and just runs and saves her. So he's like, you save one in the face of the others from genocide, and you think we're supposed to applaud you? Pardon me. Rogue gets pissed off here. She has Gambit's powers now. I mean, why she couldn't bust out with her strength here, I'm not sure. So she has this card. She got it from somewhere. Is it the Ace of the Queen of Hearts? I don't know. She throws it. And Eric the Red dodges it easily, but it hits Beast's restraints. So he breaks loose. These fucking slugs come out of nowhere. They eat away at Archangel's chains. He's like, oh, thank you. Now who do I want to punch the most? And then she goes after Eric the Red, starts punching the fuck out of him. And he does the old General Grievous thing. He's like, I'm going to get the fuck out of here. So he does. He escapes through a trapdoor. But he starts self-destruct, basically. The whole place starts rumbling and coming down. They need to evacuate. And Rogue's like, I'll get Gambit. I'll help him. He's like, save yourself. So Psylocke is getting her teleportation shadow going. And she's like, I'm not going to let you die here, even though he says, let the walls come down on me. And instead of going to Psylocke, she flies upward. It's like, wait, what are you doing? And he says, thanks for believing in me. I promise what I was ain't what I am now. She says, who says I believe you? And she drops him into the snow. I said I wouldn't let you die out here. Now it's up to you whether you live or die. She's like, I don't care anymore. And he starts pleading with her. It's like, I understand if you hate me and you don't, if you want to leave me, but like, don't leave me in the middle of nowhere. Leave me somewhere like I can get to. And he's like, give me a chance to get back home, he says. She's like, home? You don't have a home anymore, Sugar. Sugar, not with me, not with the X-Men. Fend for yourself. You seem to do a good job of that. And he says, in here, he finally says, but I love you. He says, you're honest with the people you love, Gambit. Otherwise, it's a gamble. So he's like, if you love me, you would have told me from the beginning. What is it that pulls a man in many directions all at once, but which at the same time also holds a man together? It is his soul. Yeah, okay, thanks for the poem. So that's the end of the story, more or less. But then has this little epilogue of the ship flying, spacecraft, this aircraft. There's Eric the Red, and they're like, they evacuated, but there's only two who's left, which I'm guessing is Gambit and Rogue. And he's like, what do you want to do now? He's like, one, I want to get out of this ridiculous armor. And like, why was this necessary in the first place? And it doesn't matter. Because I wanted to, it takes time to get a victory, blah, blah, blah. But don't dispose of it. I may need it again. And here we go. Like, you start seeing more of him, and his hand is levitating his helmet, and that's a Magneto helmet. And it was Magneto the whole time. It was Agatha all along, basically. And you're kind of like, wait, what the fuck is going on? I mean, you thought Joseph was Magneto, but this is Magneto. I never have one to hide behind masks, he says. But then again, Magneto is no longer the man he once was. It's a cool shot of Magneto by Joe Mad, I must say. Aside from the stuff from Age of Apocalypse, he didn't really have any chance to draw like the evil version of Magneto. So this would have been cool to see more of that. But to be continued. And here's this little going away signature. Mad. Bye, everyone. See you soon. So that's the last issue of X-Men that he did. I mean, he did some Ultimate Avengers eventually after Battle Chasers. He did some... I did a Wolverine and a Savage Wolverine he did. And he did some Avenging Spider-Man. Yeah. So he eventually came back to comics for whatever reason, but not for very long. And he couldn't feel, why are we getting into Battle Chasers and everything? We don't need to worry about that. It's a video game, a computer video game. Never played that. So, that's the end. I mean, that's the big secret of Gambit. That he worked with Sinister, and then... I don't know. The big secret is he worked for Sinister and then showed them where to go so they could kill the Morlocks. I feel it's kind of like lackluster secret. They were talking about it's a secret he doesn't want anybody to know. And sure, it sucks. And there would be some guilt. But to the point that they were like making it so extreme, I was expecting something a lot more heinous. Like, it'd been one thing if he was with the Marauders and he was like, he actually killed some people or did something more. Like, he didn't know what he was doing. I mean, there's certain levels of guilt, right? And he's certainly not as bad as these guys for everything they did. So that's why in my other videos, as we were leading up to this, I knew what the secret was, and we're like, oh, his big secret can't, such a big deal, but it's not such a big deal. So storyline wise, it is what it is, but we're always here for the art of Joe Mad. He made something special. He made a name for himself. I really enjoyed his work. I don't think I really noticed it until the Age of Apocalypse, which is what we'll be looking at next. And then the stuff he did through Onslaught. I know he did Uncanny X-Men before that. And he did issues here and there, like all artists do. But man, he was the talk of the town. There's the big names of Image, Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri, and they all left. And at the time, they probably weren't drawing as much. So I would say that Joe Mad was the biggest name as far as art goes in comics at the time. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. When did this was printed in 1997. Yeah, name a bigger, more popular artist at the time than Joe Mad. I mean, there's certainly other artists that were coming along over at Image. Michael Turner was becoming a big deal. J. Scott Campbell was becoming a big deal. And we all love their art. But, I mean, namesake alone, on such a big book, he was the guy. And a lot of artists tried to emulate him. And they tried to, like, when he left, like, I don't know. I can't really remember what happened after this. I'm sure I'd remember once I, like, looked at the issues. I'm like, oh, yeah, that and that and that happened. But there it is. Joe Mad, the end of his run. So where does he rank for you as an artist? Do you like him? Do you think he's overrated? I know my brother Rob has talked about his stuff on Battle Chasers and about that's probably like his best artistically. I can't say I disagree, but I think I had just an overall more fun time with his art in X-Men because it was coming out a little bit more consistently. And he didn't leave us hanging in Battle Chasers on such a huge cliffhanger as it is, and never come back and finish the job. And when he did come back to finish that book, it was with a different artist. Again, we're not talking about that. So, Joe Mad, great art, storyline, okay. So, thank you for watching. We're at, almost an hour now. Thank you for sitting through all these issues. Finally got done with this, and now we'll be getting into Age of Apocalypse really soon. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.